Welcome to another episode of OTA on the Air. With me today is Nick Miller, the new Vice President of Membership with the Ohio Trucking Association. So Nick, welcome to the show and thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much, Tom. I've been watching these as they go along. It feels surreal to be a guest on the show.
Right? You get to see yourself on camera now. So always an interesting scenario moving forward. So I guess tell us a little bit about yourself. You've been on staff for a little over 3 months now, but talk a little bit about your work history and your educational history.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm originally from Toledo, Ohio, and I ended up going to Miami University down in Oxford. I'm a very proud alumni or alumnus, I should say, of Miami. Actually was going to be a teacher there for a while and teach high school social studies, and I shifted course, and I've spent the last better part of a decade in Washington D.C. I worked for a few different trade associations, kind of fell backwards into working in membership, but I absolutely love it. I worked at a small software association that really represented members from across the country. Then I went to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce for a few years, and really worked to help develop a program focused on small business leaders from across the country. And that was a really great experience. And then I went over to another association that worked with financial security professionals across the country as well. And all those different jobs were really educational and really allowed me to learn about different sectors of the economy and really really learn about the world of membership. And after years and stuff at those associations, really felt the itch to come back to Ohio and be closer to family and friends. And there's something just to draw about the Midwest that you can't escape. And I couldn't be happier to be back in Columbus, and really just super excited to be at the Ohio Trucking Association. I mentioned working in different industries. When it comes to financial security professionals, broader small businesses or software, all of them have their own, special, background or niche or importance. But, especially over the last, 2 years that we've seen through COVID, just, how essential and indispensable the trucking industry has been, from, getting, the PPE to different places, or, making sure that the stocks are shelved. I mean, I remember, those fights over toilet paper and paper towels, just last year. It almost feels so long ago, but, a truck brought that there. And just the opportunity to really work for this industry. And now the trucks providing the vaccines. And I think is just a big opportunity for me personally. And it's very exciting, professionally, to be able to represent and work with these companies that, are so vital to the broader economy.
So talk to us a little bit about the U.S. Chamber experience. I guess, how do you feel that relates back to what we're doing here at the Ohio Trucking Association?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the U.S. Chamber of Commerce experience was, fantastic. Really had an opportunity to build a program from the ground up, focusing on, Main Street leaders across country. And, when having that experience working with such a broad audience and understanding the different, needs of a company and what really helps, business go and what's most important to them, that's really where I found and I feel like I really understood, how, businesses, especially small businesses, work. I mean, the number one thing is, they have to find the right people. And that's so big. I know that in the, everything I'm hearing over my last few months since, joining, OTA, is understanding that, there is a, driver shortage, and making sure that, the companies and our members are finding the right people, to fill these roles, and so that, their companies' fleets can grow. And, that's something I learned at the chambers. It all comes down to people. It all comes down to, who do you have, on your team, and are they doing things the right way? Can they help their business grow? And so, that was just so impactful to learn from, all those businesses across the country, and, really develop my knowledge on different issues that people are facing, understanding the importance of, transportation and infrastructure are two crucial things. Also learned at the chamber about how it affects all businesses. So it's something I was able to take, to my, experience here. And then, also honing my skills and doing some, I was responsible for the chamber's small business fly-in program, and I know that we're in the trenches, getting prepared to do a potential virtual call on Washington for our members here at OTA later this year. So be on the lookout for that. But just preparing and understanding how business works and working with membership was really the biggest takeaways from that experience.
So obviously, transitioning into a state association from a lot of national ones and moving back to Ohio, I guess what have been some of the highlights of your transition, and what have been some of the, I guess, challenges that you've encountered?
Yeah, no. So with some of the highlights, and this is half joke, half serious, but I'm really excited not to worry about different time zones this period. Reaching out to that potential member in the West Coast and when I'm the East Coast, and making sure I don't mess up the time we're supposed to talk has been great. But joking aside, I think that there's obviously some benefits to being on the national level. You get to talk about that sort of federal discourse, get everyone has an interest in what's going on in politics on a national level, and all those big conversations are fun. But one of the things that I really enjoyed is being able to drill down into some of the specifics that really affect businesses and their issues, and really have that community feel. I love Ohio. I've always loved the state. It's always thought that even when I was in DC, I always knew that eventually I'd come back to the state and the Midwest, and being able to connect with companies and drivers in my hometown of Toledo, or understanding the issues about companies down in Oxford and Middletown where I went to college, or just understanding the lay of the land and being able to work directly with my fellow Ohioans has been a real highlight and a great part of this transition. I'd say some of the challenges are just also understanding that the national discourse and stuff like that was a fun conversation to be part of, and it was easy to get people to engage on those issues. And everyone has the shiny object of those national debates. And what's really I think is important is helping our members and our the trucking companies here in Ohio understand that what happens at the Ohio State House and in their communities affects their business a lot more than what's going on in Washington. And so being able to help our companies really understand that what we're doing here, and the impacts that we can have for them, and the work that we're doing with our lobbyist team at the State House, and the work that Tom that you're doing is so impactful and helpful to their business, and that investing in that is really going to be the thing that helps their economic future relative to all the things that are going on in Washington.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the work that you've been doing so far. You've been taking a look at what the value of the association is to its members, and that value proposition that we offer to our members. I guess talk a little bit about where your head's at, what you're kind of wrapped your mind around when it comes to providing value to our members.
Yeah, no, it's one of the greatest things, and especially I think even during Tom going behind the curtain a little bit for our members, but during interview process, I think I went and told you and the rest of the team, just it's incredible about how much that OTA has to offer our members, and the different programs and initiatives that we do. And so I think from my experience and being able to see the best practices at 3 different trade associations and working in membership before, is being able to kind of steal some of the best ideas that I saw or implemented, or even realize some of the failures that I experienced before, and be able to bring those to OTA and really emphasize and help our members grow their businesses. I mean, ultimately, Tom, as you will know, that's our ultimate goal. I mean, we want our members to succeed in their businesses, to grow, and the trucking industry in Ohio to just be the best in the country. And so I think a lot of it so far is just kind of understanding, what are all the different things that we do, for our members, and getting them to understand how to take the most advantage of their membership. And I think that's the biggest thing is, when I talked to a number of our members so far, is, realizing that some of the things that could help their business, maybe they didn't realize or they're not taking a full advantage of yet. And so I think internally, we've just been having those discussions saying like, what are the things that we do well for our members, and how can we let them know, and how can we, sort of articulate all the things that we're able to do for them. And so, we've looked at a few different, buckets, I think so far, or pillars of our membership. One is community. I think, the biggest factor, I think, for a lot of companies is understanding they want to be part of something bigger than themselves. And, being a member of the Ohio Trucking Association means that you are supporting the industry in Ohio. It means that you are, collaborating and networking with your peers across the state, and by sort of banding together, you can make that bigger impact and provide more resources. And so that's a big thing. People want to network; they want to be a part of that, and OTA is the place to be. For you to experience that community and have someone that's going to have your back and have that resource, and know that you can always come to us with your questions and the issues that you're facing, and then we'll be there, and the fellow members will be there. Another part of that, going off that, is the advocacy component. By banding together as a complete industry, and when Tom, when you're on the testifying at the state house, or working with American Trucking Association at the national level, is when we band together and say this is really what the industry needs, and desires, that can have a big impact. The politicians really have to understand that the trucking industry is so essential to the state and just the broader economy. So when we raise our voice and put our hand up about an issue, they take notice, because it's going to have down the line impacts on other businesses. And so it's really important that as we sort of band together, we get those wins. And there's been a number of wins that we've gotten just recently, whether it be through COVID. Tom, the work that you and the team here did during that period of time was fantastic. And then or recently with the highway bill, some of the wins on the trailer registrations and such are going to be really helpful to businesses. And so by supporting the association, being a member, you're directly impacting OTA's ability to make an impact on that front. The other big thing is savings. Once again, this community aspect goes all the way through, and by joining together as association, we kind of get that discounted buying power. So we've worked with a number of providers in the industry, a lot of focus on the Midwest and such, and we have an endorsed partner program where if you come to us on some of your big needs, whether it be working with Sedgwick on workers' comp, or drug testing with on demand, or for having hiring needs with like driver reach or avatar fleet, any number of these companies that are part of our endorsed partners program, you can provide serious discounts and benefits to joining that you wouldn't get if you were a member of the Ohio Trucking Association. So I just in my initial time here, it seems like all the savings and stuff you get would almost, completely counteract the whole price of your membership, let alone, the other things that you're getting. And so, I think that you're really taking a look at those endorsed partners, making sure that, they're great companies, first of all, which most of them, are, and then making sure that our members are aware of like, you can get some serious savings, if you are a member through us and you take advantage of what we're doing. And so, just kind of highlighting that. And then the last and potentially the most important one to some of our members is that ongoing education, and those trainings and understanding the regulations. Tom, one of the things that stuck out most to me when I first started, as you explained that the industry is very simple. It's getting from A to B, but along the way, there's all these regulations and things that you have to take care of. And my head is still kind of swirling of learning a lot about the trucking industry. But having someone like Erwin Shires on our team that worked in the industry and has been a driver himself, leading our education efforts and really bringing some of those experts to the fold. is a high, value. And I think that, our members really benefit from, taking part in some of these classes, making sure they're up to date, making sure that their safety directors are part of our, safety council, or, their maintenance guys are part of our maintenance staff, because, by being a part of that, you'll help your business in the long term by staying up to date on, best practices and making sure that you're safe, and all these things. So, that's really, between, community, our advocacy, the savings, and our education component, and then also, our events, which flows all the way through that, from our annual conference in, September, to our technology conference. We're gonna have a golf outing, at some point. And I think, we'll talk more about events here in a second, but I think that's a lot that we have to offer to our members, and just helping them get the most out of their membership and realize all the different things that we can do for them.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that. I think that one of the things about the events piece is that when you talk about our annual conference, when you talk about some of the other stuff that we do, is it really highlights all of the, the four pillars that you outlined as our membership, our value proposition, is that encompasses all of it. It encompasses the
Mhm.
community and the networking piece and learning from each other, as well as, some top end education. And that we have in our keynote speakers, and this year's forum is going to take a little different, with the breakout sessions, and those being in the digital format, and then our keynotes being in the in-person piece. So yeah, definitely encompasses all of that and puts a nice little bow on everything we have to offer. So let's talk a little bit about some of those events coming up, that
Mhm.
really kind of fall in your bucket. One of the big ones is the resurgence of OTA on the road, which we had to unfortunately cancel last year because of COVID, and the inability to get together,
Mhm.
in those veins. But talk a little bit about what your concepts are moving forward on OTA on the road, and why our members will want to make sure that not only they attend, but they bring potential non-members with, as well.
Yeah, when you're saying bring potential non-members, you're really speaking my language there, Tom. But yeah, no, I'm absolutely pumped about our OTA on the Road series. One of my favorite personal things about working in membership is being able to connect with, the companies, and really understand what's important to them, and being able to have those forums, across the state, and bringing people together to network, and learn about OTA, or meet the staff, or take advantage of those, and able to meet people in their communities, instead of just having them potentially come to Columbus. I think are very impactful, and really beneficial, not only for me, and our staff, but the members that attend. And so I know that we're looking at a few locations coming this late summer, early fall. I know that Cleveland, and Cincinnati, and Columbus, and potentially Toledo are on the list, and looking at different places in which that over the last year that we haven't really been able to get to as much, but able to meet our members in the community, and really bring in new members, and hopefully they understand that value proposition that we just talked about, and really what we can do for them, and understand that the OTA network, and our abilities to connect, and bring people together, and enhance the industry as a community, really comes together at an event like a on the road event, one of these locations.
And one of the other events that you're working on is something that you bring a particular experience with your time
Mhm.
at the chamber. But we normally have a call on Washington where we all fly out to DC and run the hill, trying to make meetings every half hour with a 15-minute transition time, which I never understood how we make that work from day to day. But I guess talk a little bit about Call on Washington, what the Call on Washington program is going to look like,
Mhm.
and why somebody should attend.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Call Washington's still going to take on a slightly different flavor this year. We're looking at doing a virtual call, sometime late this summer, early this fall. And the concept being that we're just going to meet with members of Congress via Zoom. And I think one of the benefits of doing a virtual one is that I know we've talked about stretching it out over a period of weeks. From my experience, as you mentioned, doing a lot of these fly-ins in Washington, is that it's tough for a CEO, or leaders of a business to get away for multiple days and be so focused on what's going on in Washington, and being able to do it virtually and spread it out over a matter of weeks really gives people the time to participate and engage without taking them away from their business too much. So as we're winding down COVID, and I know that we're super excited about in-person events. I think this virtual call in Washington is going to be really helpful and informative and a low barrier to get involved. And then my pitch for getting involved in general is I mentioned before what happens in the state is of vital importance to your business, but I don't want to discount either the stuff that goes on at the national level, and making sure that you're reaching out and telling especially the lawmakers in Ohio about the stuff that your company and your business has been doing over the past year that has really affected America's and Ohio's response to dealing with COVID in general. I think it being really impactful, and really that's kind of what we're looking for is you don't need to be a policy or political expert. That's what Tom is here for. That's what I'm here for. That's what our lobbying team is here for, is to help out with those components. Really, what we're looking for is can you tell the story of your business, and how policy is impacting you, and how that you can perform better as a business if certain policies were in place. And that's really all we're looking for is, can you talk about how you're impacted, and how you'd be better off moving forward, and doing that sort of storytelling would be the most impactful. So like I said, it's going to be a matter of over a few weeks. We're very excited to have some of the usual suspects participate, and looking forward to meeting those. But I'm really looking to engage with a lot of people that may have an interest in politics, but has never really dipped their toe in the water on it, and making sure giving them an opportunity to use their voice. And from there, I mean, I think I don't want to be breaking any news here, but we have our Team 88 program that's in that we've had over the last few years, and I know that we've been working hard at looking at revamping that a little bit. And if the way I see it is, Call Washington is a great way to dip that toe in the water, as I stated. And if it's of interest to you, there's ways that we're working that you can get involved in some of our advocacy efforts year round, both at the state level and at the national level with our Team 88 program. So I think there's a lot of exciting stuff coming down the pike on our advocacy front. And I know that our members are politically engaged. I know they care about the issues, and if there's ever a time in which you wanted to put that action, OTA is willing and prepared to give you the ability to have that platform and talk about the issues that are most critical to your business.
Yeah, and then Dean Kaplan sums it up very well when he talks about how if you're not at the table, you're on the menu, and
Hmm.
that's definitely one of the things that you learn very quickly in the public policy arena. That if you're not at the table and actively engaged in those conversations, lawmakers make a lot of decisions without having the full understanding of the impact of what they're doing, because you just weren't there to have that conversation with them and let them know.
Hmm.
That's one thing we've always prided ourselves on, is being at the table. So Call on Washington is another opportunity to be at the table, especially given the number of changes that are being slated by this administration. In any administration change, they go through a lot of changes in that first couple of years. So being at the table to be able to tell them what the real world impacts of those decisions are is just vitally important. So I guess talk to us a little bit about what you're most excited about in your new role, what things you're looking forward to, and what things members should expect from you.
Yeah, I would say, the thing I'm most excited about is really more opportunities to engage with members. I've been doing some, recruiting calls, been just in touching base with members, but giving an opportunity to sort of meet them in person, whether it be at our annual conference or, the on the road series, and just know that, I'm available as a resource to them, anytime, just give me a call. I want to be there for your business. I want to see you succeed. That's my main motivation in working with membership. And some of my proudest moments in my career are when I've seen a company grow or stuff over time, and been working with them, and knowing that if I've just played a very small part in seeing them succeed, then that makes my day and gives me that fulfillment. And so I'm looking to develop relationships with our members. I'm looking to hear as we're looking at, our value proposition and things we're doing, looking for feedback. If there's something that, that we can be doing better or enhancing, or something that like said, hey, like if OTA provided this or we had an endorsed partner here, like, that'd be super impactful to my business and really help us grow. I mean, we're open to that. I mean, we're always open to suggestions and different thoughts about, what we can doing. So, you can just give me, a call, and then we could talk it through and figure out and see what we can do from there. But I would say that that's, over the course of, my growing my knowledge in the trucking industry and connecting with our members, I think are the two biggest things I'm looking forward to over the next few months. And we'll really be thrilled when it comes to our annual conference and having opportunity to get everyone to come together, here in the Columbus area and do that networking and really talk about this great industry.
Well, Nick, we're excited to have you on board. We're excited to see what you'll bring to the association in the months moving forward. And thank you for taking some time to join us today.
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to connect and maybe do another one of these in the future.
Well, you can count on it. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.